Hello students, welcome to the second lecture on design of bolts in case of eccentric loading. Now in first lecture we have studied how to design a bolt if the load is parallel to the axis of bolt. Now in this case we shall see how to design a bolt if the load is perpendicular to the axis of bolt. So here you can see that this is the axis of bolt at L1 from this edge at L1, and at distance L2 we have the bolts, and these are the bolt axis, and you can see load is perpendicular to the axis of bolt. Now in this case again we have two bolts at distance L1, and at L2 we have two bolts. Now the first difference that you can see in this case compared to the first case, and that difference is the area, the cross sectional area here is the area which is offering resistance to this W. So we know that if the cross sectional area is parallel to W, I am talking about cross sectional area, not axis. Axis is perpendicular here. Okay, if the cross sectional area, which is area offering resistance because of resistance to the load W, right? Now that area is parallel to W, force W. So we know that if area is parallel to W, in that case the failure will be because of what? Shear failure. So here the primary force will be a shear force. So to explain you with some demonstration, see here we have a bolt like this, okay, and this is the load acting. So this is the axis of bolt, right? This is the axis of bolt, and W is perpendicular to the axis, but the area resisting this area which will offer the resistance to failure, this area is parallel to the load W. That means it will be a shear failure. In earlier case load was vertical like this, axis was like this also, so it was like this, correct? So this is parallel to the axis, first case, but the area, this area, we are talking about the area resisting this area, okay, this area is perpendicular to the axis, right? So we know that when resisting area is perpendicular to the force, in that case the stress is tensile stress, so it will fail because of tension. Okay, so that was the case in the first type of problem we have seen. Now in this case we have a shear failure. So the primary force acting on all the bolts is a shear force. So this direct shear load we can calculate as Ws is equal to W by N. This will be equally shared by all four bolts. And then there will be a stretching because of the moment about, again, tilting edge A. Now this stretching will cause nothing but a tension in all four bolts, right? So as we have calculated in first case, we'll again calculate the tensile load on each bolt because of stretching, which is because of turning moment, and will not go into derivation again, but as we have seen, whichever length is a greater length, that the bolts at that length have more tension because of stretching. So again here L2 is greater than L1. L2 is greater than L1. So the bolts at L2, that means bolt 3 and 4 will have a greater tension because of turning moment. So as we have seen earlier, this W2 you can calculate as W into L into L2 divided by 2 L1 square plus L2 square. And once we calculate this Wt, now here we have a case where one is a shear force and second is a tensile force. Now in first case both forces were tensile forces, so we directly added those two forces, right? But in this case we have one shear force, second tensile force. So these two forces, for these two forces we have to calculate equivalent tensile load and equivalent shear load. So WTE is equal to 1 by 2 into WT plus WT square plus 4WS square. Here WS is direct shear stress and WT is a tensile force because of stretching or turning moment. And we can calculate equivalent shear stress, shear load or shear force as WSE is equal to 1 by 2 root of W2 square plus 4WS square. And once we have the values of WTE and WSE, then by equating this with area into the allowable stress, we can calculate DC. So for example, if sigma T is given, then you can use WTE is equal to pi by 4 DC square into sigma T. From that you can calculate value of DC. If tau is given, then WSE is equal to pi by 4 into DC square into tau. That shall give you value of DC. So now let us see one problem on this second case. So problem is, in supporting the traveling crane in workshop, brackets are fixed on steel columns as shown in figure. The vertical force on bracket is carried by 4 bolts at distance L1 is equal to 50 and L2 is equal to 375. Length L is equal to 400, load W is 12 and permissible tensile stress is 84 MPa. So only permissible tensile stress is given, so we'll calculate only WTE. We don't have to calculate equivalent shear force. WSE we don't have to calculate here because we have only permissible tensile stress. So again, a simple problem. First we'll calculate direct shear stress WS, which will be W by N, so that will be 3 kilonewton. Then a secondary tensile load because of turning moment. So as we have seen, WT is equal to W into L into L2 divided by 2 L1 square plus L2 square, and that comes out to be 6.29. So value of WT and WS is calculated. Then equivalent tensile load WTE is equal to 1 by 2 into WT plus square root of WT square plus 4WS square, and this comes out to be around 7490. So once you have value of WTE, you can find out DC from the equation. WT is equal to pi by 4 into DC square into sigma T, and DC comes out to be around 10.65. So if standard tables are provided, then the value is around 11.546 mm. So core diameter you can select as 11.546, which is M14. So I hope that you have understood this second case. Now in third case, we'll see the problems on design of bolts in which the eccentric load is in the same plane as that of bolt.